What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Mountain Motorsports in Roswell, Georgia. In front of me, I have the 2024 KTM Duke 250. This thing here in America is brand new. Today, we're going to take it on our first ride route and stick around to the end of it because I'm going to let you guys know if it's a purchase or a pass. First off, we got to see what it looks like, and we got to see what it sounds like. So that doesn't sound great, but you know what does? Listening to those sweet tunes on your Cardo and 10% discount in the link in the description. That was sad. Alrighty guys, that's what it looks like, that's what it sounds like. Now this video is sponsored by my favorite phone mount, and that is Quad Lock. As you guys can see here, we've got a handlebar mount on the KTM Duke 250. So we've just got the handlebar mount that's going into our pivoting arm, which is my new favorite thing from Quad Lock. You can literally loosen it here and move it in any direction you want. I've kind of got it positioned over here by the mirror. That's going to go into a vibration dampener. That is going to protect your phone cameras. And then we also have the Quad Lock block, and that's going to go into your phone, and that's what holds it in. I've been trusting Quad Lock with my phones for years now, and I would not trust anything else with my phone on my motorcycles. If you guys wanted to get a discount on Quad Locks for yourself, links in the description down below. I absolutely love them. Thank you, Quad Lock, for sponsoring the show. Let's get on the bike. Alrighty, guys, Duke 250. Now, here in America, guys, we had a Duke 200, and now we're going to have a Duke 250. And from what I can understand, the Duke 250 is going to replace the 200. But we still have the Duke 390, so I'm not really sure why we have a Duke 250, but maybe throughout today's first ride, we'll find that out. So we'll get the keys turned on. We have a big LCD screen here, which kind of makes sense with the bike. We will get it turned on here. Kickstand's already up. So guys, I'm 5'10", got a 32-inch inseam, and as you guys can see, relatively low seat height here with bent legs. So really approachable for newer riders. We also don't have any modes, so we can just get straight to it, my friends. Also, if you guys are a fan of the channel and you want to see all the content we're making, I obviously want you to subscribe to the channel, but YouTube does a terrible job of letting you guys know we make content. So we have an email list that we would love for you to join. We'll have a link in the description down below. We only email you once a week, just letting you know the stuff going on around the channel. So if you want us hanging out in your inbox, just go ahead and sign up. I have the rear ABS off. Oh no, we're just going to roll with it though. All right, God dog, dude, Duke 250, okay. This thing wants to be revved all the way out. That is insane. Also, guys, we just finished the camera car run of this route, and let me warn you guys, this route is toasted today. There's traffic everywhere. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up. It's going to be an interesting one today. Kind of like the Duke 250, a very interesting one. All right, guys, that's the first ride. You guys know what we do here. Let's talk about body position. First off, on the seat, we have a relatively hard seat, but I am happy with how wide it is. I just wish it was a little softer. My upper half is leaned forward a little bit, but I'm putting a lot of weight on the seat, and I'm worried that's going to get a little uncomfortable throughout the day. My arms are not far reached out in front of me, draped way down, and then my legs are, you know, on a scale of like super sport to cruiser, they are like mediumly tucked in, and my feet are a little behind me. Overall, it's a relatively comfortable, slightly aggressive position that would seem pretty solid for city riding, which I would imagine is going to be where this bike is going to feel really good. My only real complaint, I would say, would be the seat, though. That's the only thing that's kind of sticking out to me right now. Also, guys, I'm just going to make a note of this. When we did the camera car run of this bike, I felt like the bike was really sluggish, and when we got back to mountain, I actually got them to check the tire pressures. The tire pressures were a little low, by about 5 to 8 PSI on the front and the rear. And let me tell you guys, these are incredibly important on this bike. This bike feels so much different with the correct tire pressures. So this is just a note. Make sure your tire pressures are correct, because it will really change the way the bike feels. This is also an area I can talk about modes, guys, and while we don't have any modes here, it does have a different ABS mode. So in road mode, this bike will have ABS engaged in the front and the rear, but something really cool that KTM does is they give you a supermoto mode. And what that's going to do, if we go down and get over, the rear ABS is turned off. And that way, if you want to like skid a tire out or something like that, you know, light motorcycles are always fun to play around with that. And you can do that on this bike. I've got it in ABS, or in Supermoto ABS. I'm just going to leave it in that for the duration of this video. So guys, other than the ABS mode, there's no power modes on this bike. So we will go directly into talking about the power plant on this bike. So KTM's got their 250cc single here. That's going to be good for 30 horsepower and about 18 foot-pounds of torque. No real big surprise there. The numbers are a little small, but it's also a small motorcycle. And the whole bike is coming in at 364 pounds, I believe. Which, you guys might correct me on this, but 364 pounds seems a little heavy for such a small motorcycle, but I could be wrong there. Just getting a slightly chunky vibe from the 250 Duke. So guys, talking about the city performance on the Duke 250, this is really where I feel like you're gonna need to be riding this motorcycle. We're gonna get to the highway and we'll see how it handles the highway, but I don't think the power is gonna be that great in that scenario. So in the city is where you're really gonna be wanting to ride this bike. And the way this thing is putting power down is extremely interesting. So typically when you're on a motorcycle that is a single style engine, you normally get a lot of torque down low in the revs, and then as you rev the bike out, it kind of dies off most of the time, and they're also relatively shaky sometimes. So that's kind of what I came into this expecting, but I was so wrong. This engine loves to get revved out, and that's where the power is. You have to keep the revs high on this single to really feel that pull of power. And I would have just never thought a single would feel like that. Now, it's kind of obvious, but as far as agility goes, this bike takes no energy just to move around. That's pretty standard for a KTM Duke platform. KTM has done a fantastic job of all of their Dukes have similar characteristics, and that fun, easy agility is definitely one of the primary characteristics of a Duke. Luckily, this thing fits into the line extremely well. I will say, with city riding specifically, you know, like leaving from a red light where you're not moving, it does feel like it's a little underpowered low in the revs. I would, and if I could choose, I would rather take some of that high up power and translate it down low, because there were a couple times where I was leaving a red light and I was like, this thing is getting bogged down and not wanting to go. And that was with it being in first gear. Like I should have plenty of power there, and it just feels really lackluster down low. So I don't love pulling away from a red light on the Duke 250. Whenever this traffic moves forward, I'll be able to show you guys what I mean. All right, yeah, just that's what I mean. It's just you got to rev it up to get it going from a stop. Maybe part of that is that it's a small 250cc or something, but it wants to be revved. And if you do that, you'll have a great time. Oh, bus, don't get in front of me. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, this bike just really wants to be revved, and it's one of those. No shock with the KTM. You got to ride it hard to make the bike feel like KTM probably wants you for it to feel. I just wouldn't have expected that with a single. I've been on this bike for about 45 minutes to an hour and a half now, and I will tell you guys, the seat is already getting like pretty uncomfortable. So just, you know, making that observation. Another pro for city riding is how light this bike is. Like, it literally weighs nothing. It does feel a little top heavy though, which is interesting. It's only felt top heavy when I'm wiggling it in between my legs here at a stoplight. So that's been the first time I've kind of noticed that. We got clear road ahead. We're gonna get to open this thing up a little bit. Make sure nobody's gonna kill me, and they're not. We love it. Let's get it going. See, that's where the bike gets fun. You get a little bit of open road, and you can stretch those RPMs out. That's where it starts becoming enjoyable. Stuck in slow traffic, you're stuck at low RPMs, you kind of can't really have a good time there. And here we are in 6th gear going 55. That is one of the pros of a low CC bike, man. You can just wring its neck and go all the way up through the gears, and you're still barely speeding. Or not speeding at all. It's a very, I like to call it an engaged riding experience. Can I lock the rear up? Oh, absolutely. No squeals, though. That was kind of sad. You know, overall, guys, for a price tag of $4,600, for this being like a fun little city bike that you can just rev out and have a great time going literally nowhere, I think around town, this thing's been great. The only real issue for me would be the seat. It's a little uncomfortable, so maybe get an aftermarket seat or a seat modification or something like that. Overall, good notes for me for the city riding section. The question now is, how is the highway going to be for a 250cc single that's got 30 horsepower and 18 foot-pounds of torque? That is going to be interesting to find out, but that's the job. All right, guys, look like we're getting a green light, so you guys know what we got to do. We got to see how fast the 2024 KTM 250 Duke can go from 40 miles an hour to 80 miles an hour, thanks to our buddies over at Law Tires. They are our motorcycle lawyer friends. If you get into an issue on the road, you need to call those guys. I have used them, and I can vouch for them. Okay, I don't know if I'm going to get to 80 on this thing. This will be a test. All right, I'm going to give it the best shot, though. On your mark. Get set. And hold on. Go. Oh, God. I got to rev it. I'm sorry, little engine. I got to. Come on, baby. You got this. Come on, little Duke. You got this, bud. I believe in you. There's 80, we did it. 4 miles down the road and we almost hit the traffic. I told you guys traffic was bad. Okay, you know what? We made it, and that's all that matters. Let's get a time for the 40 to 80. It might be our first over a minute, or at least it felt like that to me. Holy crap. I was worried we weren't gonna make that. So guys, we're stuck in traffic here, but what I can do is I can tell you guys how this thing was on the highway when we did our camera car run. And as you guys saw, getting this thing up to highway speeds here in America takes a lot of time. And when we were on the road earlier on the highway, I did very much notice myself being at highway speeds. Like, obviously you can get to it, right? Like, there are some highways in Texas where it's like 80 miles an hour. So you're going to have a really hard time staying with traffic on those highways. But the more problem I see with this thing in America is I don't need to only get up to highway speeds, but then when I'm on the highway, I then need to be able to maneuver around. And I definitely don't feel like I have the power on this bike to, you know, accelerate to get around cars and stuff like that. So that is kind of what worries me on the Duke 250. I don't know if it has the power there to really play around on the highway, and clearly there's no cruise control, there's no rider aids like that. So as far as the highway goes, you know, maybe some super light highway if you only have a few exits to go, but this bike is borderlining being too dangerous to get on the highway just because it doesn't have enough power. It doesn't perform bad on the highway, it just doesn't have that power to really to keep up with traffic and be safe, to be able to make safe maneuvers. Honestly, for this video, it's kind of funny that we got a locked off highway like this, blocked off highway, sorry, because it's, you know, I'm not able to really show you guys, but this video would be looking very different if this was a full speed highway. I think they're closing, they've got a lane closed up here is what it looked like earlier. So we're just gonna get through this little highway traffic and then we'll get back to the video. All right, we have emerged from all the traffic. So let's get at highway speeds and let me show you guys what the power looks like on this thing. So we're currently going 55 in fifth gear, going around 6,000 RPMs. I'm gonna get in this right lane. So if you're getting up to something like 70, cool, we're chilling at 70 in sixth gear. But if I full throttle, I'm literally barely going anywhere. That's the kind of, you know, passing power that I want here on the highway. And I'm just not being able to find that. Let's see if we can get some speed behind us. Look at that, we got up to 80 something. Top speed for me is looking like 85. Yep, so definitely not a highway motorcycle at all. You know, I do feel like I'm getting blown around quite a bit here on the highway. I do feel a lot of vibrations. It is a single. We're ringing the single out, so of course there's going to be vibrations, but just not a bike I would push you guys to get if you're doing highway to any extent. Man, these people are creeping off the highway. Holy crap. Well, that sucks, because this is normally a fun turn on the Dukes. Like, they... Look at them. It likes to fall into a turn. This one's no different. I will say I'm pretty happy with the suspension. It's a little harder, which incentivizes me to ride it a little more aggressively, but I kind of like that. And it is also something I kind of expect out of a KTM. Even a 250 KTM is going to want you to ride it harder, and it's going to appreciate that and ride better at those speeds. So yeah, it's not adjustable suspension, but I like the way they're set up right now. I don't like traffic at all. All right, so summing up the power plant, super cool power, high up single revving motorcycle, just not really the amount of power it needs to keep you on the highway. Suspension feels great, and the gears feel a little bit taller as far as the braking. Let's see how this goes. That suspension is holding me fine. That's actually impressive. I would have liked to see the brakes be a little stronger and with the initial bite. I wish I could have got stopped a little sooner. But hey, we got to try them out. So let me show you guys how tall these gears are. You would expect to shift a lot sooner than you actually end up shifting on this thing. And that's because of the power is all high up in the revs. One of the things I don't like about the engine and the bike in general is when you do rev it all the way out, that's when all the vibration comes. But if it's a single that has low end power, you don't really have to rev it out a lot. But if you do have to rev it out a lot, it starts vibrating like hell, and I'm gonna get run over by a dump truck. Like, I don't want all that vibration when where the power is. So I don't know, I think that could be a little better in the vibration department at least. But we can still skid the rear because it's fun. Dude, one of my most fun things is to have a bike with either no ABS on the rear or turn-offable ABS in the rear, and lets you slide the rear out with the rear brake. It's so fun. Get going, baby doll. There she goes. Let's talk about the shifter now that we talked about the transmission. We get a light little click in the shifter when I'm shifting up through the gears. You know, for a small bike like this, it's really all I could ask for. KTMs are pretty known for having like a really tactile feel when you shift into a gear. And on this bike, it feels a little light, but I don't really have a problem with that. That's kind of what I would expect on a motorcycle like this. So no real issues in that department. We already talked about the brakes, so we don't really need to slam on them here. But it is interesting to see how set up the suspension is. The bike doesn't dive that much under really heavy braking, which is kind of impressive. I kind of expected the suspension to be really soft on this bike. Not the case. Good job, WP Apex suspension. If you guys thought we were done with the traffic, oh, you would be wrong. Oh, that car almost got creamed. Oh, holy crap. Ballsy move, Cotton. Did not pay off. All right, guys. So before we get into the chaos of traffic ahead of us, let's talk about the controls up here. So one of the really cool things with the 250 Duke here is that you get these updated KTM buttons and the screen. Now, it's not a TFT screen, which would be really nice. It is an LCD, kind of old school. But on a motorcycle that doesn't have modes or anything like that, I think KTM is doing a pretty good job here. It is a nice sized screen, and going through the menus with the controls over here is super simple, super intuitive. So I really couldn't ask for much more. I love the updated buttons that they gave the bike, and that old 200 Duke screen, I am so glad that it's gone. This feels very in line with all the other KTM Dukes that are on the market right now. So I love it when the line for a motorcycle brand is kind of similar to like the Duke line of KTM's. I'm glad those are all kind of similar with their setup here, and the quality of the buttons feels really good. You know, for a bike that's $4,600, I think you're going to be pretty impressed. Now, unfortunately, we do have levers that are non-adjustable up front. They are blacked out, so I do appreciate that. And they're a little light on the pull. I already talked about the brakes. I really wish I had more initial bite and slightly stronger brake feel. But that was more of an emergency braking situation. Not going to be doing that often, hopefully at least. And then you can't really adjust the clutch lever, so you kind of have to hope it is where it needs to be. For me right now, I can't really two-finger clutch it. I have to use my entire hand because the clutch needs to be pulled all the way to the bar. So that's less than ideal, but I mean, it's easy to pull. I will say, while I was in really bad traffic, as I have been this whole day, clutch hand getting a little tired. Not nothing crazy, you know, not nothing to be like, don't get this bike because of that. But just a note. I will make a note that I would like the rear brake to bite slightly more as well. Maybe just initial bite, but I just keep wanting more out of it. It's enough to skid the rear tire, so what else can I really ask for? Also, I just want to give a shout out to Mother Nature. Today's weather is literally perfect, and I would love this every day in Georgia. I don't know what I have to do to get that, but I would like to officially request it, please. Alrighty, guys, we've been riding this bike for quite a while now, so up here we are going to pull off so we can do a walk around. Also, shout out to all the companies that sponsor the First Ride show. Without them, we would not be able to bring you guys our cool little camera car setup. So we're gonna get pulled off up here and do a little walk around of the KTM Duke 250. Whoa, totally empty parking lot. Heck yeah. All to ourselves. Guys, I reserved this parking lot for us today. You're welcome. We got the leaves changing, fam. Let's all appreciate the leaves while we have them. We'll only have them for a month or so. And then all the leaves fall and it's just dead looking stuff. Look at those tight turns. Oh, yeah. What up, Lot 147? How you doing today, fam? Boom. Just like that. Alrighty, guys. 2024 KTM Duke 250. The one thing that I massively appreciate about this bike and KTM's Duke line in general is because KTM is one of those companies that when they come up with a design aesthetic, they put that in an entire line. We've got these new kind of angular headlights with the side shoulders. I love the look. And then I've heard some people not like it, but having the gas tank come all the way up and kind of over the front area, dude, I love the look of that. And it's so cool that you get that on their 250 model. That's fantastic. So here we have the white model. There is a darker model. It doesn't have the cool orange wheels. And overall, you know, as long as you're into this mechanistic look with the engines like KTM are known for, I think this thing looks great. I love the white rear shock kind of off to the side. That's pretty neat. I don't love that the material on the seat is bunching up like that, though. It doesn't give me like premium KTM feel. I do think the tail of the bike looks really good. I think the overall bike itself just is a really good looking bike. Little tail tidy there would be super simple. That'd be great. Overall, guys, not a bad little bike, and I think the look's really cool. So I'm going to grab my phone off the quad lock, and I'm going to record some stuff for our peeps over on Instagram and TikTok. If you aren't following us, we're at C2Pics on Instagram, and we're at Chaseontwowheels on TikTok. You guys go follow us over there. I'll be right back. All right, guys, that's it for the vertical content. Now, we got to get back on this bike and see what the steering stem lock is, and then the all-important question, purchase or pass. Boom, phone's handled. All right, Duke 250, what you got? All right, my friends, steering stem is now locked. Uh-oh, okay. Look at that. Dude, top 15%, no problem at all. Nice job, little Duke. That person was talking with me. They're like, are you making a YouTube video? And I was like, yeah. And I said, yeah. And they were like,
okay, cool, because I saw you, I heard you say in the comments.
And I was like, well, that's your tell right there. I am out here making a YouTube video, talking to myself. Let's go, Duke, let's go. Heck yes. It's when you rev the hell out of this bike that it really opens up. That's so awesome. All right, guys, you did it. You made it through the whole video, and now you get the answer. Is the KTM Duke 250 a purchase or pass? It's a pass. It's 100% a pass. Guys, I don't know. Here's the thing. The only thing, and keep in mind, this is my opinion, right? Okay, everybody has their own. This is mine. I think the Duke 250 has no business being in America because the only thing that this bike does is stop at red lights. 1 second, I'll tell you after. The only thing that this bike really does is allow people that are very price conscious to get into the KTM ecosystem for a lower price. I believe here in America, this is the cheapest KTM you can buy at $4,600. Now, the problem is for $4,600, you can get motorcycles that perform way better than this bike. So I don't really understand why you would go with this over any of the other ones unless you just really had a affection to orange. I will say it is neat that for this price point, you can get on something that very much feels like a KTM. The buttons feel like a KTM. It wants you to ride it revved out to get the most out of it, which is like a KTM. It looks very much like the Duke line. I just think there's so many better options in the market right now for this style bike at that price that it doesn't really make a lot of sense. So that's my opinion. And guys, we got to get this bike back to Mountain Motorsports. Shout out to them for letting us loan this motorcycle. If you guys want to check out Mountain and Roswell, we'll have a link for you in the bike provided by comment down in the description. You guys go check them out. They are a fantastic Jeep dealership with tons of inventory. So You can go sit on tons of bikes, find out which one fits you the best, and we really appreciate their support for the show. So guys, let me know in the comments down below, is the 250 have any point in America, or do we just need the 390 and call it a day? Make sure to hit the like button on the video while you're down there. And guys, I'm Chase on Two Wheels. I'll see you in the next one, and I'll have, if you guys want to watch more first rides we've done, I'll have a first ride playlist down there as well. You guys go there and ride safe. See you on the next one. Later.